Hey, how's everyone doing? My name's Kurt. I'm a dad who draws, and this is our Wednesday night portrait class. We try and get together every Wednesday night and go over a portrait step by step. And that's exactly what we're going to do tonight. And before I get started, let me just tell you that I'm glad that you're here. Do make sure that you like and subscribe to the channel. We're in April. Man, it would be great to get to 10 to 15,000 subscribers by the end of the year. That's a good goal. Maybe even 25. We'll see what I can do. But that would be a real hoot. So if you're not subscribed, please do that. That would be wonderful. Hit that bell. You know how all that goes. That's always important. So let's get right into this. Today we're going to be drawing this angle, this portrait that has a specific angle to it. Angle portraits are hard because when we draw them, we're used to drawing them like this or a 3/4 view. But when you tilt the head, it definitely causes some, that's a new way of looking at it. So let's go step by step, see how we do. And yeah, let's just go from there. So let's go ahead and I'm going to start with a sphere. Start with a sphere. I'm also going to come down here and grab a second color so I can reference that as I needed. All right, and make sure okay, great. Okay, so first thing, let's determine now, when I'm drawing my sphere, it's kind of like this almost. You see this? Just to kind of give you an idea where I'm kind of envisioning the face to sit. All right, so as soon as I get my sphere down, I want to establish where the brow line is and here's one other thing, where the temples are. Okay, so let's come over here in our picture and kind of get that angle. This angle is really key, because if you don't get this angle right, then you're going to be off completely. Let's also go ahead and establish where that temple is, okay, right along my line here. Kind of looking at my, all right, I'm going to go right about there. And then I want to establish where the other temple mark is there, okay, so we could look at that, and we could I'm going to even like throw this straight of the face there. Let's just put this in right about here maybe, huh? Okay. Next we want to get this right there, the center line, okay? The center line, or the beginning of the center line, is right in the top of the glabella. All right, so let's establish that. And notice it's a little bit closer to that one temple versus the other. This is what is happening from a 3/4 view. Okay, so that's going to be roughly our center line. That's going to be our center line. When you draw portraits, and I always try and remind everyone, this is one of the hardest things you could do in art. All right, one of the hardest things. And it can take years to master. But the only way you're going to get better at it is if you persevere through it. So whether your drawing turns out great or it doesn't, that's not the point. The point is that we're here together practicing all the time, okay? And I guarantee you, in time, I promise you, you will get better, all right? It's not about talent. It's about perseverance. Okay, look at that. I just put in the line right underneath my nose here. Now, some places I've seen some people draw a triangle like this to help them get the proportion or the position of that nose properly. I'm going to come in right about here, I think. How does that look? Well, that's probably a little bit higher if I use that method there. Probably right about there, I think. Okay. Hey, there's Patty. Patty, you could get caught up. You're not that far off. Okay, next, I'm looking at this distance, taking that distance, and look at that. That kind of equals about the distance of where her chin is. You see that? So we could come over to our drawing and mark that down, just something like that. So right away I see something happening in my drawing, and I want to point it out to you because this is good. If I look at the picture, look at the look. I'm going to change the color here so you can see, and this happens. Okay, so look at this. Look at this area right there. You see that area? See that area? Okay, I'm going to make that disappear. Now compare that to my picture and jump back and forth. Can you see that? So what that tells me is that my area of face is too small in proportion to the circle that I built. You see that? So that's going to give me problems. That's going to give me problems down the line. So what I'm going to do, I think, is it will be easier for me to adjust the size of my sphere. So let me come over here and I'm going to make that adjustment right now. Okay, that looks much better. We'll erase all this. So early on, if you see a mistake or something that you have done, get on it. Get right away. Right away, just jump right on it and make that adjustment. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger here so we can get into the details of those. All right, so that looks much better. Okay, let's go ahead then. I'm going to erase all of this red here. All right, and let's keep on going now. So next thing I want you to, and I think this is called, we've tried this before, and I think that really works really well for this. It's the Zorn Z. See, 1, 2. You see that? I think it's the Andrew Zorn. I might be wrong on that. I'll have to check that out. But it was a device they would use to get the proportion just right. So let's see. We're going to come right down here with this angle here. Come like this, and we're going to come up here like this. Nope, that's not. That one isn't right. Let me try that again here. All right, I'm going to go with that. I'm going to leave this in place here. Okay, so on the side here, we can, going through the, we could get this, the side of the head there. Look at that. All right, let's do that. And then, of course, the other side, we could do that as well if we come over here like this. So I'm going to go ahead and erase this outside part just like that. I'm also going to make these little points a little bit smaller. Okay, let's go ahead and we've got this established. Let's get that let's get those eye line in as well. All right, do it lightly. And then this is going to be the tip of the nose and then the bottom of the nose. And all of those lines are parallel. And while we're talking about parallel lines here, you know, I have a great class called the Daily Draw. We get together every single day of the week for about 30 to 40 minutes, and you can sign up for that in the comments. As soon as the video is over with, I'll put pin a comment to sign up for the Daily Draw. What do we do? Well, Mondays we always draw something that is natural. Tuesdays we draw something that is man-made. Wednesday we focus on a specific part of the portrait. Thursday's character design, and Friday is always animals. And so we repeat this week after week. And the point of the whole class is to get you in the habit of drawing, get you into the in the daily practice. That's why it's called the Daily Draw. And what's great is this is the best way for you to improve, is to be consistent on that day in and day out. It's great. You don't have to come up with the reference. You just show up and I'll show you step by step what we're going to draw for that day. So anyways, keep that in mind. Check that out. Something I wish I had when I was younger, but here we are. Hey, look at that. Jeff Taus from UK. Welcome, Jeff. How is it going? Okay, let's keep going here. All right, let's come down here now and look, here's the corners of the mouth. Just like that. You see that? Let's go ahead and put a line in for the mouth. We'll kind of estimate that here in just a second. We're going to go like this. Okay. And then, of course, we have our chin down here at the bottom. So we kind of got that as well. All right, let's see. Let's move into getting some of these features down. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and once again get rid of these marks here. All right. And I'm going to kind of erase a little bit of my nose here. I always try and draw a little bit darker for you all so it's clear to see what I'm doing. All right, so let's see. Coming down here, we're going to get the tip of her nose first. There's the tip of her nose. And then you can add a little bit of tone underneath here, just like this. And then look at that nostril. Nostril on the right side is clear as day. There's the wing of her nose, wrapping around, and you get a little bit of value. Look at this. On this whole side of the nose here, there's just a little bit of value. Far side of the nose, we have a little bit, look at that, just a hair of that other wing, the other wing of her nose there. All right. We get the fulcrum from her coming right down here. And then we get the V of her top of her lip right there. Now, when it comes to drawing lips, this is what I want you to look for first. I want you to establish where those corners of the mouth are. We've already drawn that little bit of a V there, you see? So where are the corners in relationship to the nose? So if my nose is there, and if I go from the wing here and think of like a vertical a perfectly vertical line, you should do a Procreate class. This is a Procreate class, Patty. Look, if you do a vertical line like this, you could see about where that look at where does that corner of the mouth line up, and I'm going to come right about there, I think, just like that. And then if I go across ways, where is it over here? I'm going to guesstimate that one, maybe right about here. And now I'm going to make a small adjustment on mine. I can see that maybe I've made this too low. So we just keep making those adjustments as we need it. All right, then we connect it all together. I am on the iPad. You mean like a, Patty, you mean like a totally separate class where we're doing a whole, like, using all the tools on the iPad, yes? Now look, I have my iPad right here. You see? I have it plugged in. Yeah, I have this projected right on my computer screen. Look, there's the center part of the lip there. You see that? And usually your upper lip is going to be a little bit more darker in value than your bottom lip. So let's come down here now and get those corners in. All right. And we'll add a little light, just a little light tone there. All right, you ready to keep going here? All right, let's see her. Let's look at this line here. I'm gonna try and capture now. Look at this. We have that angle right there. You see that? That's going to be helpful in positioning. You have one, but I can't figure it out. Okay, well, I'll tell you what. Well, maybe I can help you privately after, outside of class. Outside of class. I could definitely do that. Kind of get you underway there, huh? So reach out to me, Patty, in the Facebook group when we're done, and we'll figure out some time I can help you, okay? Okay, look, we got that great angle coming in here. I'm going to adjust her chin just a little bit there. And a lot of times I like to use like straight lines to block things in, Okay, let's kind of work on her. Let's work on her eyes here. So next thing I want to do is I want to look for her tear ducts. And again, I'm going to use a vertical alignment. So if I draw a vertical line, wow, look at that. That tear duct goes right through the corner, that nostril there. You see that? So let's see, nostrils here. Boom, just like that. And how about this other one? Where does this fall? Okay, now, if I go straight, there's nothing to line it up per se, but if I make a horizontal, okay, that kind of tells me about, it's going to be right about there, right along there. You see that? All right. 1, 2, 3 for her eyes. 1. Oh, wrong angle. You always, especially in something like this, you always want to check your angles. 2, 3. Okay, I'm going to put in my pupils here. And my pupils are going to be a little flat on the bottom. Or my irises, look at that. Because the bottom's being covered up. And it's being covered up with that little bit of highlight. Let me zoom in here. See that little bit of highlight right above that? It goes dark iris, white highlight. This is where the sun is, or the lights are reflecting on top of the skin, the top of the skin there. So we've got that's pretty common. We got to look for that. So let's drop our pupil in nice and light there. Come over the other side. Same thing's happening on the other side. Speaking of Facebook groups, we have if you're looking for a great place for community with friends, you should join our Facebook group. It is a phenomenal group of people. We've been together for about 3 or 4 years. I think 4 years maybe now. And we've grown. It's a private group. You could post your work and not be afraid of someone seeing it. If you want to keep it that way, it's a great way to talk to each other and to look for help. And I'm in there often, so I will put a link for that also in the comments. So there will be a link for the daily draw and a link for our Facebook group. So check those out. Do you have a screen color? No, I do not. Jeff, I do not have a screen cover. Do you have a screen cover as I find the Apple Pencil on the iPad screened? Yes, Jeff, you're absolutely right. It is super slippery and it was a real pain to get accustomed to. It took me about 2 months to get used to drawing on glass. And there was a bit of a learning curve, but if you persevere, you can get through it. So now I use both traditional media and the iPad Procreate when I'm teaching. But it is definitely it is awkward. I'll give you that. It is. And if you want to know here, you can take a screenshot here. Really, this is the only I use the Procreate very limited as far as all the tools. I mainly use it to draw with when I'm teaching, and so my main go-to is the 6B pencil. In fact, you could even, let me come over here. I'll hit that so you can see everything I do is use standard. The only thing I will adjust sometimes is the streamline on the stabilization. All right. The amount. This is the only thing I really adjust. All right. Okay, let's keep going here. 2 years. Over 2 years in the group. Yes. Okay, let's keep going. All right, let's get this eyelid up there. And I don't use a glove at all. I've seen a lot of people use gloves. I don't use any gloves. I just I've gotten used to it. But I remember when I first initially switched. It was really difficult. I did not like it. I wanted to keep it traditional media. All right, getting her eyebrows in. She has a little bit of mascara here on the outside part of her eyes, and we can also add a little bit of tone underneath these eyes, but make sure you leave. Oh, 2 years, great. Great. I'm happy to hear that. Do you have a specific HB6? Yes. The Patty, I love using those. Using those softer leads. That's all I recommend that you use is those softer leads. I recommend that you don't even go near the H's. HB is actually pretty. That's even hard for me. I don't even go near that. Okay, look at this. Let's add some little bit of tone underneath her nose here. We got some shadow there, and look, got a little bit of shadow on the side of her nose. Keep this limited. This is not that dark of a photo here. Okay. Let's get our ear in now. So over here, I'm gonna erase some of this, take some of this initial drawing away just by lightening that up just a bit. Okay, let's get her ear in. So here, this is where her earlobe starts, right? And if I use a horizontal line, okay, so this is gonna line up right underneath that eye. So we could just kind of quickly come over here like that. And if the top of her ear is going to be up here, where's this going to oh, that goes right through her eyebrow. Okay, great. That's another great little mark there. Yeah, how many people, I'm curious, how many people use Procreate? I went through all of I really tested out all these different drawing programs to see what worked. And I mean, I think Adobe has its own drawing program. There's lots of them out there. Okay. Let's erase this here, erase that. Erase this line here. Okay. Okay, next what I want to do is I want to trace out where this hairline is coming through here. Look at this. All right, and then we're going to come around and continue this idea as we trace out the outline of her hair, just like that, okay? It is, but you know, there's some really good, I'll tell you, Jeff, there's some really good people out there who have some great tutorials. In fact, there was one gal that was super helpful, Flo, I think her name was Flo. Look at this right here. I want to get this part. There's that part. You see that? Where does that vertically? Where does that line up? Oh, look at that. That lines up with that eye right there. Okay, we could put that in. So it lines up with that eye. Art with flow or something like that. All right, so we'll come down like this, and then we'll come over here. I'm just going around going with the trying to get the outline there. There's a couple people. There was also a guy. What was that guy's name? BJ or something like that. He also has some good, fun characters to draw. BJ something. BG's. You know, it's so funny. You look at different artists and what they all bring to the table, and I think we all bring something different. You know, for me, it's trying just to create and maintain a habit of drawing. I mean, that to me is key. That's why I try and, in the daily draw, I try and change up the variety of subjects we do every day. But other people will do. They have their specialties. I've started to shift more into watercolor, and I have a class in that as well. But yeah, I really enjoy watercolor. Been really practicing my portrait work there. Hopefully this summer I will have a class for that. So now I'm just kind of coming in and dropping in some values here. Look at this. Values in her hair. Okay. This is a movie actress. I know that. Let's see. Nancy. I think Nancy suggested we draw this. Nancy, do you know who the this movie actress is? Okay, look, there's her back neck. You see that there? And you want to look at this. Look at this negative space. You see that negative shape there? That's what we're looking for. If we could get that shape right, then we're going to know that we've got that shoulder up high enough. Helen, her name is Helen. I can't remember her last name. Where does this? The other thing is too is we could use a horizontal line here. Look at that. Oh, it lines up right with her bottom of her lips. Okay, it looks like I've got mine okay. And then let's jump to this other side here and where is that going? Let's see here. We're going to come down right about here. Yes, you're absolutely right, Jeff. It is the cost is unbelievable for Procreate. And if you can there's so much to the program. It's quite amazing. Quite amazing of the value you get. Okay, let's look, I'm just blocking in right now. Blocking in the look at this here. Look at this little edge right there. If I go with a vertical line, it lines up right with her ear. You see that? These verticals, horizontals, negative spaces, all of these things are what I call your tools of measurement. And they really help you get your proportion down. Okay, look at this now. Now this is a mistake I've made, but it's good to make mistakes. So another tool of measurement is, so we have vertical lines, we have horizontal lines, we have negative shape, and the fourth one that I use is called cartoon check. That's when I look at the picture, look at my drawing. Look at the picture, look at my drawing. Look at this. This is interesting. Look at the shape of this right here. You see that shape? Now jump over and look at my drawing. Wow. I'm a bit off on mine. So let me make an adjustment here. Let's see here. Now we're gonna come down here. All right, much better. Okay. How is this? This is looking okay, I think. All right, I'm going to drop a tone, just an overall value onto this whole sweater here. Okay, let's come in now. I'm going to get rid of all of this, all of these lines here, so I could get a clean view of her face. All right. There goes her chin coming down here. Oh, you're learning watercolor, tried, acrylic, and pastels. Wow, that's quite a group there. Yeah, I've done all of them. I haven't done a lot of pastels. Would you? I think they're kind of pastels to me are a little bit more opaque. Where since watercolor is transparent, and of course acrylics are an interesting as well because they can be both transparent and look at that. Look what I just put in here. This is her pit of the neck right there. You see that? And then if you look at the values here, her neck is much darker than her chin there. All right, one more thing I want to do is let me just check her the shape of her face on this side. We haven't really looked at that. Oh, Helen Mirren, is that it? I'll tell you what role she played. It was the Queen. Let's see, Helen. Oh, I think you're right. Yes, you're absolutely right. Jeff, you're right. That's who it is. Okay, let's come in here to her hair and get some darker values, especially down here. Down here by her eyes there. Look at that. Look at this. And why that's so important is because you want to pick up this contrast, how dark her hair is compared to how bright her skin is there. You see the difference? That's what you should be aiming for. All right, same thing over here. Let's get this nice and dark as well. And then as you draw hair, I always like to think of hair as like sculpture, like it's clay. So it's not flat. And I try and think of it as having some weight to it. So if this was a piece of sculpture or clay, how would I like form the edges? All right. And I find when I think of hair more like that, it just has so much more dimension to it. And the way that I do that is, let's just say I had a shape here. Let's say we have a shape down here in the corner, and then I wanted to create an edge. Well, on the shape, I would just maybe like come in here. Oops, that's too dark. Come in here with an edge. You see that? Where I create a side to that shape. Now that looks like a 3D shape here. Okay, and then maybe over here there might be another value. Oh. So now my shape has dimension, and that's really how I like to approach my hair. I like to get the overall containment and then break it down. Break it down by shape and value. All right, once I got my values down, now I'm set to come in here with a little bit of detail. I don't have to get every single hair. And check this out. Here's another little thing. Look at the difference in value here. Look at the difference in value here versus the value there. You see that? So it's a little bit more gray on the sides there. A little bit more value. So let's come in here like this. I'm going to do a little light tone coming in here. All right, a couple final touches here. And I think we've got a nice little drawing here. I'm going to just kind of go in here and fill in some of those places where so Jeff, are the soft pastels more chalky? I know the oil are going to have more oily. That would be one of these days. I'm going to have to try that. I remember them both having a very they can get very messy. They can get very messy. But you know what the great thing is about it, doesn't matter what medium you use. If you can master drawing is really the cornerstone to whatever you're going to do. If you can master the drawing, it gets so much more easier to learn the medium. But if you don't have the drawing down, then not only do you have to learn the medium, which is hard enough, but you also have to learn to draw. So I always recommend that to learning to draw is like a gateway into everything else that you're going to do. There was someone who once said, and I'll say this a lot in my watercolor class. They'll say like a good drawing can save a bad painting, but a great painting cannot save a bad drawing. Just think about that for a little bit. Well, there you go. I think hopefully that was helpful, and man, I'll tell you, it was nice for a lot of the comments coming back and forth. Thank you, Patty and Jeff, for commenting and doing all that great stuff. Hey, thanks for watching, everyone. Make sure that you comment on the video, like it, and if you're not subscribed, yes, subscribe, because we come out with a brand new video every single Wednesday night of portrait drawing, and I'm always posting stuff, so you don't want to miss a thing. Hey, my name's Kurt. I'm a dad who draws now. Go out there,